you earn my trust, I earn yours.
And how do you build trust with your leadership team to ensure that what they're calling is correct and that you guys are completely interlinked with expectations?
So, trust is built day by day. It's definitely something that happens over time. I think trust for me has always been being able to, it's accountability, it's doing what you say you're going to do. And I think for me, it's leading from the front, is putting myself in their shoes and being on the front line with them saying, well, would I have called that? And what are the questions that I might ask in this process to help validate whether it will or won't come in? I think it's really common things really table stakes stuff of doing as you say you're going to do, making sure you advocate for them and have their back. And they might make a bad choice, but at the end of the day, you've backed them. And if they've made a bad choice, let's work through it and let's figure out how not to make that bad choice again. So everyone builds trust slightly differently, but human to human, that there's no hierarchy or rank when we're building trust. It's, you earn my trust, I earn yours. And then we figure out how to work together dynamically.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
There's going to be times where you miss the number. There's going to be times where you've got a big number to hit, whether it's macro or micro reasons, in your control, out of your control. You're steering a ship with 65 reps that are all fighting for the same goal of success. How have you navigated? Can you think of a time where you've been behind that number? And how have you navigated and pulled the entire team together and rallied the troops and actually changed the direction from being deflated to actually a turnaround and a success story?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I mean, if you can't handle the heat in sales, it's probably not the right industry to be in, particularly in a SaaS-based business. The targets do continue to grow, and that pressure only gets more and more every quarter, and so there's a definite acknowledgement there. There's certainly been quarters where we've been close to missing and or we've missed, and certainly as you get larger or the responsibility becomes more and more, the risk of that also is increased, right? Because there's more people under the fold, and you take more risks on people as you grow and scale the business too. So yeah, there was a time quite recently where we missed. That's on you, and so it might be at the rep level that doesn't quite get to their commit, but that times 10. And then a sales manager, rolls up the wrong forecast. That's ultimately on me, and it's my responsibility to course correct. And so it's just going back to the basic, making sure that at every deal we understand every single step to close. Why won't it come in? Why will it come in? Are we using BANT or are we using Medic or MedPick, or what's the nature of that sales cycle? Do we understand the path to purchase for that specific solution, and where can I plug the gaps? Because it's not often, it's not out of the blue. Right, and could we have actually had 3 or 4 eyes on that problem to be able to prevent it sooner? So I don't think it's not magic wand type stuff. It's going back to the fundamentals of what are we calling, why was it called, why didn't it come in, and then what can we do to course correct and move forward. So for us, what's really important is having a regular cadence of forecasting, both at the sales manager level as well as the individual one-on-one rep to manager level. So they'll run it as a pod weekly and just drive that accountability piece for what they say they're going to do. And then from manager to rep one-on-one, we call it a PBR or kind of a TRC process. And we run through pipeline kind of cleansing and make sure that all the notes are there. And if we don't do that, something gets missed, right? And, when we're running a business at scale and the expectations are so high, it happens. And I suppose some of the learnings that I've had, and I recently inherited 2 more sales managers and about 16 new sales reps, is it takes time to build that trust in understanding what your sales manager's calling. You've not worked with them for a while, so you expect that the number they give to you is the number. And I really need to strip that back.
Performance management is something that I struggled with when I became a people leader, probably 10, 11 years ago. And I remember having to have a conversation about someone's underperformance and they were not going to be with the business too much longer. And I didn't sleep the night before. I tossed and turned. I literally could not sleep because I was just petrified of having this conversation. Yeah. It was horrible. It's still the worst part of the job. Yeah. But that was something that I personally really struggled with. And I don't know what your situation is with regards to that, but how do you handle underperformers? Because you must have had some.
It's really tough, right? It's something that we've had to. There's been a couple of tough conversations we've had over the years. I think it starts with understanding it's expectation setting on making sure that they understand what the role is and what's expected. And I think it's always then starting with the opportunity to let them know what's going wrong. I think when that fails and you kind of go into that performance improvement plan territory, what I've learned, it's not easy because I'm naturally empathetic as well, and I do see the best in people. I think it's both a weakness as well as a strength. But it's taking a step back to say, well, I've got a number to hit. I've got millions to bring in per quarter, and naturally so does the sales manager and so does that individual rep. And if they're not paying for their seat effectively, we really need to start to think about, well, what's going wrong and why? And then we go into that kind of structured performance improvement plan territory where we really do need to be black and white and let them know what's at stake if they don't deliver. So I suppose a couple of learnings in removing the emotion or the personal side and really thinking around what's best for the business and what's best for me in terms of my success and the sales manager's success, that, if it's not quite right, then we do need to call it. And I've had tough conversations where we've had to let somebody go and they got teary, and then, trying to hold back those tears as well. You want to show the empathy that you care for them, but it's probably not the right job. So if anyone's got any tips for how to do it without it impacting you, would love to hear it. But I reckon it's one of the toughest parts of the job.
No, I think that the way you describe that is I don't think there's a right or there's probably some wrong ways to do it. But I think that you're certainly directionally similar to the sort of conversations that I would have with people.